It is Stardate 310376.58, and this is our review of Star Trek Into Darkness. We have...
I'm Renee.
Arle. Cheeto?
And I'm David.
Okay, you should stop that because people are literally going to stop on the YouTube video and they're going to say no. And you're lucky there's not a dislike button on that.
Well,
There's a dislike button.
well, let's go ahead and...
We saw Star Trek at the 3D to see how it was, and we had to give our initial thoughts.
You know what? I loved it. I can't help but say it enough that I love this film. I just totally geeked out. I was just watching it. Now, you know what? If I had got any worse, I would have drooled all over the place, and you would have been all wet.
David?
Okay. I am of the older generation in regards to Star Trek. My favorite Star Trek was always the original. I grew up in the 70s going ahead and watching it on reruns, but I have to say this captures the original Star Trek.
I gotta say, this movie was more Star Trek than the first one.
And that's what I love.
Yeah, it was great. I really felt in it. I was into it, and I enjoyed myself watching this movie.
I'm not a Trekker. I'm not, I enjoy the series, but I would never consider myself a Trekker. I think it's okay, but I don't think it's, and I like this movie. Especially it was good for me. I liked it. I enjoyed it.
Look, when I was watching this film, I have to say, it was really an adventure film, it started off exactly classic adventure story, which to me, Star Trek had that element. It has that element of adventure. We're not going to do spoilers, okay? We're not going to do spoilers. You don't have to worry about that. But the beginning of it, you start off with an action scene. They're on a different world, which is something that I really liked seeing. Finally, this is the aliens here. We're on a different world. We're having this fast-paced. There is a complete, to me, Star Trek moment. You have Kirk. You have Dr. McCoy. You have, Spock in danger. And now it's like a complete away mission. I miss that. We haven't seen that in a long time in any of the Star Trek series.
And what this one brought back, what was missing from the first movie was moral dilemma. And you had that right at the beginning, the moral dilemma. Is this right to do?
Abrams is a very unique director to me.
Yeah.
He's one of those that I could sit down, I can point out one of his movies. And there's very unique directors out there. You sit down, you see a Tim Burton movie, it's a Tim Burton movie. Spielberg, too, he has his own style of film. This guy, J.J. Abrams, really captures his own style. He's kind of, I don't want to say he uses reality TV angles and all that, but he does. He gets down. He's down there with the person. He captured the action scenes well. It looked like, it was being shot like they're running with the guy and all that. The shots where the bad guy is leaping and all this, and, Spock is running after him and all that. You really get a reality show type. And, he's really good with that.
It's funny that you say that. I mean, with the fact that he's gotten a lot of those kind of action shots. Now, I'm not a fan of jittery camera because I get motion sickness, especially watching those types of films. But I didn't get that sense from this one. And so it didn't affect me in that negative way. And, so that made this film much better for me.
Now, I'll go ahead and say this. I am not a fan of all of J.J. Abrams' films. In fact, you guys know how much I hate Cloverfield.
Yeah.
And I love this film for the same reason that I hate Cloverfield. and that is the characters. In Cloverfield, I hated the characters because I felt no connection for these
And that is his
snobby
opinion.
kids.
Okay?
Yeah, that's my opinion. I found all of the characters in Cloverfield so annoying. This movie, every actor really gets a sense of his character. And you know who really steals the show for me? It's got to be Scotty.
Simon Pegg.
Yeah, Simon Pegg had
he
a
does
great.
a good job.
You know,
Yeah.
you know what? I just love Simon Pegg in most of his films, even his older works. I've seen them, and Simon Pegg is just
Two people. It's
Right.
Kirk and Spock.
Yeah.
Those are their main stars. Those are the guys that you're there to watch. They're
And
the
I-
stars of the movie.
And I can say that he did get the dynamic between those two down pat. But even side characters, you know, even Joseph got his, you know, part in there. And I know when we talked to him, you got a sense, you know, he told us that how much J.J. Abrams made everybody, even every single person on the set, feel like family, and that everybody is welcome to go ahead. You know, he said that he was very open to suggestions from anybody.
I think that what they captured of Star Trek was the conflict with the characters.
Yes.
You know, I mean, here they really have to deal with friendship. You know, the issue with Spock and Kirk. You know, this takes place. It took place a little after the first movie. It's not a couple of years like we thought. It takes place shortly after, and you know, they're still having their friendship. They're still learning to work together, and you see it. You know, I mean, the whole big scene, the whole big thing in the beginning was a conflict between these two guys. You know, the issues with who they are, what they're about. And, you know, I really liked how they explored the friendship between Spock
I
and
have to
Kirk.
disagree with you. There's certain. I wish they'd done just maybe a little bit more of the relationship between each other. I really didn't see Sulu interacting with Chekhov at all. Okay, I would have liked to see a little bit of that. I would have liked to see Scotty interacting with Sulu. Or
But you can only do so much.
I know, but if we're talking about how we see them as connecting as a family, there's some gaps there. We have to see them interacting a little bit more with everybody.
And remember, this is only the second film.
It doesn't matter, dude. The point is, I want to see them interacting with everybody. Okay, we saw enough of somebody. We saw enough of Kirk for sure. We saw enough of Sulu. We saw enough of Kirk and enough of Spock. A little weak on Chekhov, a little weak on Sulu. We saw more of Sulu in the first movie than we did in this movie.
And even I'm gonna have to say, yeah, you're right. You know, even a little bit weak on Bones. I would have liked a little bit.
Yeah, I would have liked a little bit of Bones too.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying, you know, I'm just saying that was a weakness. Okay. I liked the relationship between everybody. I would have liked to see a little bit more of interaction between them somewhere. You know, where maybe Kirk wasn't around. Maybe, you know, and there's scenes when he's not around.
Analogies from Bones. That's
We got those metaphors.
Those analogies and metaphors.
This, and I got to point out, there wasn't that many cosmic coincidences.
Really? Yeah, that's right.
You know, that was one of my big issues with the first one. Like, oh, cosmic coincidences, where things just happen at a convenience. Here, no.
Not as many.
No, I mean, the plot, you know, they lay down foreshadowing, you know, like, oh, okay, you know, you could easily, because again, they do it, so like, when, you know, without giving the plot, they do this stuff in the beginning, so when they get to it later in the movie, you're like, oh, it makes sense. You know, like the part with the tribbles and all that. Yeah, you know what I mean? We made that conclusion because, again, they had to tell you that, because if they took it out, you know, it would just be like, what? What the hell? You know, it just...
Another thing that this movie does really good for me that I like, it shows why Kirk is Kirk. It shows why he became a captain.
Yeah.
You know, we see the kind of skill set that he has, and, you know, we get a little bit of how other people know how his skill set works. It's interesting. You know, people are, you know, we know how Kirk works, and it's examined how Kirk, you know, goes about making his decisions. That was interesting. I found that fascinating.
Well, I'll tell you what I like. What I like was that it wasn't smooth. It was not a smooth incident. They addressed the fact that Kirk got promoted too quick. You know, they told him in the beginning, and again, not a spoiler, but they told him, you're not fit for command. They flat out told him. And it's true. It's true.
And the thing is that also, it's not, his crew, it shows it in this film. It's not a crew that, yes, sir, you can't do any wrong, sir. They go ahead and doubt him. They even, there is the point where one of the crew basically says, if you go ahead and do this, I'm out.
This is really great because you see the development of Captain Kirk. He's not the Captain Kirk you see on the TV show. He's getting there, but you see him mess up. Mm-hmm. We've never seen Captain Kirk mess up. You see him doubt himself. You actually, he's kind of got to the point where he's like, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. So I got to do this. And, you get to that point. You see it where his confidence is shot.
Also, but to go along with that also, if we're going to go with character one, Kirk isn't the only one that develops in this.
Yeah.
Spock develops. Okay, and that's what I like about Spock. We see Spock grow as, well, kind of more human, I guess, in certain aspects. He's growing more, I don't know what the word would be. Not emotional exactly, but he's becoming more well-rounded. I think that's the word I want to say. He's becoming more well-rounded.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
And that was interesting. It's interesting seeing the...
I also like the dynamic between Spock and Uhura during this, and there's a certain scene with Spock, Uhura, and Kirk that actually, I can go ahead and say, guys, there is some places in here you're going to crack up laughing.
Well, again, with the villain, he had an agenda, but it wasn't like a grand take over the world.
Yeah, but that's supposed to be a grand,
And
And the thing is that you have to understand, he's mad, especially at the very end. He's mad.
Yeah, he was a dangerous criminal. And, his goals were not epic. He had a mission. He had
his reasons.
Yeah, but I'm trying not to spoil it, but I think part of it was that the villain himself, he's a villain who's not following his plan. He's reacting to the situation. That's not a spoiler.
That's right on the nose. That's right on the nose.
I'm right there, aren't I?
I'm right on the nose. I mean, but I wanted to see more of his brilliance. I didn't see enough of that.
Okay. Let me think of this. All right, you saw enough of the glimmer of the brilliance, the evil, everything that's.
Well, no, I didn't really see enough evil. That's what.
You didn't see enough of the evil. You wanted more.
Yeah,
that's the thing. This villain, to me, was not. They weren't necessarily out to make him evil, like an evil mastermind and all that.
No,
I think they wanted to give him some sympathy. No, because
that is pretty epic. You're talking about the head of,
No,
I disagree with you.
No, I mean, epic would have been like intergalactic war.
Yeah,
which is where they
which
is an issue,
and which I think they have started.
It was the issue, but it wasn't the issue, so that's not a spoiler either. And man, it's hard to talk about this movie.
It is hard.
Yeah, well, let's cut it now because we're already.
Okay. Well, one more thing. All right, I need to say this. Is this a spoiler? The Klingons.
Well, it's not a spoiler. Klingons are in the movie.
Yeah, there are Klingons,
but there are not enough Klingons.
We love Klingons, so we were hoping for more. But they do enough. They do enough to let us go. Wow, the Klingons.
They whet our appetite.
Yeah,
it's a little bit.
Klingons were awesome in this.
Yeah,
we wanted more of them, but hopefully they could do a lot more with Klingons. I mean, there's a whole universe of bad guys.
What was her name in the movie? Marcus?
Well, it's not a
Carol
spoiler.
Marcus.
It's Carol Marcus.
Yes. Yeah.
Which, again,
And-
we know she's come out before.
Yeah.
In Star Trek II, Wrath of
Was she necessary in the movie?
Yeah.
Really? I thought she was a weakness in the movie, really. I didn't
No, I
really
thought
see
she was-
why.
Well, again, no spoilers.
No spoilers, but
She does have a key role in the movie.
And I think it
sort
is
of.
a
And you
spoiler
know
for
what?
the
It's
beginning.
really important when she goes ahead and takes off her clothes.
Yeah. Well, that is the only reason she's in the movie, man. I mean,
And
come
ladies
on.
and gentlemen, pink ladies with tails.
Oh yeah!
All right, okay.
We see Kirk doing what Kirk does best.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, one more thing I want to go ahead and mention. You know what? A lot of movies go ahead and go towards 3D and aren't truly 3D. They're just not even worthy of the name 3D. This movie takes full advantage of every aspect of 3D. I mean, it's really,
And not
really good.
overuse it.
And not
Yeah.
overly use it. I mean, it didn't get in the way. It didn't make me sick. And you know what? I liked it.
But you know, you could also enjoy the movie without 3D.
That is true.
Yeah, you
That
know,
is true.
It wasn't, you know, yeah, you're right. They didn't go, but there are certain parts that I love seeing the 3D, but it was subtle.
Carol Marcus in 3D, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Wrapping this movie up, of course, we nerds, we like to give movies a grade. And we like to talk about pluses and minuses that we like. So, summarizing, since you were our last one to talk about in the beginning, give it a grade, you know what?
I'm the first one now?
Yeah.
I'm giving it a B+. It was a great movie. I had a lot of fun. I like the fact, and you know, they've mentioned it before, all the actors hit their mark. All the characters seem genuine. They have their own personalities, their own motivations, their own drives. My only problem with it is I wanted to see more interaction between the crew. I thought that was lacking. I wanted to see a little bit more of that. And the villain. I wish there was a little bit more, I don't know, more highlighting his brilliance. I wanted to see a little bit more of that. So, a B+.
All right, well, me, myself, and I have to give it a 95. That's a really good grade in my book, but, you know, it's losing 5 points because I wanted more Klingons. You know, if you don't give me more Klingons, you know, if you give me more Klingons, you get 5 points back, okay? But that's definitely my reasoning, too.
I'm giving this movie an A+. I gotta say, this movie was actually solid. It had great acting, like I mentioned before. Plot was really good. I had moments where I was on the edge of my seat with the special effects, the action, the adventure. They captured that so brilliantly. And this time, they added characters, the drama, the internal development. You know, Star Trek is known for that. Star Trek is mostly internal characters,
Yeah.
more than outside space adventures and all that. But here, they captured it all. This is a movie where, just like the first one, I can sit down, I could watch it again and again and again. I saw the first Star Trek movie this week like 3 times just to get ready to see the sequel, you know, just to see it. They make tons of Star Trek references to previous stuff, and I'm looking forward to part 3.
And I will go ahead and say I give this also an A+. And let me go ahead and give my reasons. I'm going to be going ahead and talking about a film that we reviewed just 2 weeks ago. That film basically, by the way, if you've seen my review of it, I downgraded my review to a D for that film. For one of the main reasons is that it did not deliver what it promised. It did not deliver the villain I wanted. It did not deliver the action I wanted. This film delivered on every single thing I wanted. I wanted Star Trek, it gave it to me. I wanted adventure, it gave it to me. I wanted a very good villain, it gave it to me. And I thank you for it, J.J. Abrams. You delivered on everything you promised. To go ahead and wrap it up, we enjoyed this film. Go see it.
And remember, we are nerds on the couch.
Fun part.
We are nerds on the couch. Catch us on our Facebook page and live long and prosper.